Okay, let's jump right in. We're talking about a name you've definitely heard before, Alexander the Great. The legendary, undefeated king who, by the time he was 30, had carved out one of the biggest empires the ancient world had ever laid eyes on.
And you know, that's not some exaggeration. Think about this. In 13 years of non-stop campaigning, he never lost a single battle. Not one. That perfect record built this almost godlike reputation that, honestly, even today makes it really tough to separate the man from the myth.
So that begs the real question, the one we're here to break down. How did he actually do it? Was it just raw talent on the battlefield? Or were there systems, strategies, and maybe some secrets behind his unbelievable success? Let's get into it.
Well, first things first, we have to understand that Alexander didn't just start from scratch. He had a major head start. He inherited a completely revolutionary war machine built piece by his father, King Philip II of Macedon.
Yeah, before Alexander ever led a charge, Philip had already spent decades turning what was basically a part-time militia into a full-time professional army. These guys were drilled, they were disciplined, and they were fiercely loyal. So Alexander basically inherited the sharpest weapon in the entire world.
And a huge part of that was the tech. The absolute core of this new army was something called the sarissa, a massive pike, sometimes up to 22 feet long. It totally outranged the spears everyone else was using, creating this terrifying walking wall of razor-sharp spear points.
And this army was a masterclass in how to combine different forces. You had the phalanx, that nearly impenetrable hedgehog of sarissas. Then you had the elite companion cavalry, probably the best horsemen of their time. And bridging the gap between them were the hypaspists, super versatile, elite infantry.
And this is how they put it all together with their signature move, the hammer and anvil. It was brilliant. The phalanx would act as the anvil, absorbing the enemy's main attack and just holding them in place. Then Alexander himself would lead the cavalry, the hammer, in a crushing blow against the enemy's vulnerable side. But here's the thing. You can have the best army in the world, but it's totally useless if it can't move. And that brings us to Alexander's unglamorous, but maybe his most important secret weapon. A total mastery of logistics that was centuries ahead of its time.
Just try to wrap your head around the sheer scale of this. An army with over 64,000 soldiers and 10,000 horses needed hundreds of tons of food and water every single day. Napoleon famously said an army marches on its stomach. Well, Alexander knew that better than anyone.
So how did he pull it off? He made his army lean and incredibly fast. He trained his soldiers to carry their own gear, he slashed the number of slow supply carts, and, this is genius, he set up supply depots in advance and even made deals with local leaders for provisions. This is what allowed him to move with such lightning speed.
And if you want to know just how seriously he took all this, listen to this quote from the man himself. For Alexander, logistics wasn't just some boring detail. It was a matter of life and death, and he made damn sure all his officers knew it too.
All right, so let's see how all of this, the war machine, the logistics, the genius, comes together in action. We're going to look at the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BC. This is nothing short of a tactical masterpiece.
Now just look at these numbers. The odds are completely stacked against him. Alexander is massively outnumbered, especially in cavalry, which is crucial. The Persian king, Darius, had even picked this wide-open, flat plain specifically so he could use his numbers to surround and crush the Macedonian army.
So this is the puzzle, right? The situation seems impossible. How on earth do you fight a much bigger, faster army on a battlefield they handpicked specifically to destroy you?
Well, this was his absolutely brilliant answer. A super complex, four-part formation. He advanced at an angle, he held part of his line back, and he bent both of his flanks backwards to protect them. And behind it all, he kept a strong reserve, ready for anything.
And it worked like a charm. As the Persians moved to try and wrap around Alexander's weird angled formation, they were forced to stretch out their own line. He was baiting them. And that stretching created the one thing he was waiting for, a weakness, a fatal gap right in the middle of the Persian center.
The second that gap appeared, bam, he struck. Alexander personally led his elite cavalry in a wedge formation straight through it, aiming directly for Darius himself. The Persian king panicked and fled. His army's command fell apart, and the battle just collapsed into a rout. An absolutely legendary victory against all odds.
But you know, Alexander's story is about so much more than just winning battles. In just a little over a decade, he didn't just build an empire, he fundamentally changed the world as people knew it.
I mean, just look at this timeline. The pace is a complete whirlwind. From the moment he invades Persia to his death in Babylon is only 11 years. 11! But the era he kickstarted, the Hellenistic Age, that would go on for centuries.
And that's really why he matters so much. His armies didn't just carry weapons, they spread Greek culture, language, art, and philosophy everywhere they went. He founded new cities that became massive centers of learning and created this new blended civilization that would shape the course of history for generations.
So, we're left with this big question, aren't we? Was he this visionary leader who connected the world in a way no one ever had before? Or was he a brilliant but brutal conqueror whose empire was so personal, so tied to him that it was destined to die the moment he did? The answer, just like the man himself, is complicated and forever fascinating.